Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I have a process video using the October Freaky Fast Friday from the Scrap Room. I am using this Pebbles paper pad that I picked up at Tuesday morning to document photos from the pumpkin patch. I start out with cutting this 1x12 in the orange diagonal stripe. Then I decide to use this flower to cut a 12x2 inch. This pumpkin is cut at 3x7, and then my last piece is cut at 2.5x8. When I get everything out of the way, I realize that I don't have a lot of paper to work with. I go back to the Freaky Fast Friday guidelines and I realize that I was supposed to have 2 1x12 and 2 2x12s. So I decided to cut that polka dot in the 1x12, and then this orange plaid is going to be in the 2x12. This black paper, it's hard to tell, but it has a tone-on-tone black bats. I really like that to give it a little bit of extra. What I started out doing was adding these strips of the 2x12 down the side, and then the strips of the 1x12 going across the layout. But I just didn't like the way that that was configured. So I ended up adding the 2x12s on the outside and then the 1x12 on the inside of the paper. And I do put the paper on a diagonal just to give it a little bit more interest in the layout. I decide that I'm going to use one photo on the left-hand side with this formula, and I also decided that I wanted to add a background. I had cut down that bat paper to 11.5 by 11.5, and so I added that orange paper behind it, and I really like the way that that makes that black pop. Once I start to figure out the configurations of those 4 pieces of paper that's going across the layout, I decide I'm going to go ahead and add the 2 other pieces of paper in the same orientation. So actually all of my papers are going across the layout. I thought about adding a second photo to the layouts on the left, but decided against that, and I'm actually going to end up putting all 4 of those photos on the right hand side of the layout. I did gut that orange paper, so I went ahead and used that piece to back my photos. I did use black soot to distress all of the edges of my papers. I did recently pick up the We Are Memory Makers layer guides, and I am still trying to figure out how to use it, but I decided that I wanted to go ahead and add a second border with this white paper, and it has little black cats on it, but I cut so much of it off it just looks like a regular white piece of paper. I really like these cutting guides because even if the paper isn't cut straight, it butts up against the edge of the photo, so it will always make sure that your mats are straight. And so I want to give a shout out to Heather for recommending these photos. She does have a video on what they are and how to use them, and so I will post that below for you guys so that you can go and check out that video. These have been on my Amazon wish list for quite a while, and Heather's video just pushed me over the edge and made me realize that I really wanted them. And I love the way that they add layers to my photos. It is a little bit of a learning curve, but I don't think it's anything that is overwhelming. Once I get all of the papers down, I do use fun foam to pop up this photo. And these pictures are from when we went to Santa's farm last year for the pumpkin patch. It is such an amazing area for a pumpkin patch. They actually grow Christmas trees at this place, and so that's why it's called Santa's Farm. But in the month of October, they do a pumpkin patch. They have a petting zoo that has little goats in it, and the boys loved being in the goat pen and being able to pet the goats and hold the goats. It was an amazing experience for them. So now I'm starting to work on the right side of the layout, and I did again get my orange paper. So I'm going to use some washi tape on the back just to make sure that it stays down once it gets into my albums. I cut down some of the photos and some of them I kept at a 4x6. I used that piece of orange paper that I gutted from the back piece and created a grid for my photos. There is going to be an extra space off to the left, but I'm going to cover that up with some embellishments as well as my title, so it doesn't look like a big space over there on the left once I start to get everything down. I did use my perfect layers again to cut the layers of this, and since I didn't have a straight edge all the way out, what I decided to do was just go ahead and cut what I could using the photos, and then I just lined it up on my paper trimmer and was able to cut the rest very easily, and they all ended up being the same size. Once I get the grid down, I use some of the scrap pieces from the other side of the layout to make tags using my tag punch board, also from We Are Memory Makers. This is an awesome little tool if you guys haven't picked it up already. I got mine at Tuesday morning, and it's super easy to make tags with. You can cut off the edge as well as create the little hole at the top of the tag. So after I ink up all the edges, I'm going to adhere everything down along with my tags. And I use those tags to cover up a lot of the space in that edge of the grid style of my photos. I do use my T-square ruler to go ahead and make sure that that grid is straight. And after I'd add the adhesive to these tags, I add them right there to the corner. Now I'm going to bring back the left side of the layout so that I can start to embellish. I first start out with the sticker sheet that is also from Pebbles. I picked it up again at Tuesday morning. I added this little tag at the bottom. It says crow's feet, which I thought was just a little perfect for the edge of those tags there. I also had this 3x4 cut apart card that has Halloween on it. So I added that to the left of my photo on the left side. And then I pulled out my embellishment books and found additional embellishments to go along with this layout. I added a little pumpkin, or actually a jack-o'-lantern. And then this black tag, that tag is actually from Ellie Studios. I decided to go ahead and cut apart all of my tags and add them to my embellishment books. And I love that because I'm actually getting more use out of them. I added the little sticker that says cutie. And then I'm trying to find a place for this spider web, but it's just not working right now, but I do find a place for it. This little sticker that has the black border around it, I added it to the top there, along with the black circle that has a star in it. And then that little word phrase that says chills and thrills. Went ahead and added a green heart up there at the top. And then I get my spider web added right underneath that pumpkin so that I could make that cluster a little bit bigger. The heart just didn't sit right directly under the pumpkin, and I wanted to expand that cluster just a little bit. Up at the top there, I added Pumpkin Fun. And then I'm looking to see what additional little tiny hearts I can add to each one of my clusters. There's not a lot of green. It really is mainly only in that flower paper, so I wanted to bring it out even more in this layout. I went really old school and used my orange gemstones. I didn't have any orange enamel dots, so I thought that these gemstones would be perfect. It adds a little bit of bling to the layout. So I'm just adding them around each one of the clusters. And then I add my title. I'm going to add the title Pumpkin Patch on the left-hand side of the layout in these orange polka dotted, it's like tone on tone polka dots. And then these green foam stickers. I also decide to add a subtitle, I guess you could call it, to the right side of the layout by adding the word Santa's Farms, which is the name of the farm that we went to. After I get the title down, I start to work on my journaling for this layout, and I do a really simple journaling. I have these journal cards that are from Project Life, and they are really stark white, so I went ahead and used that black soot distress ink to not only distress the edges, but I also ran the ink over the top of the card, so it gave it a little bit more of a distressed look. My journaling just says the pumpkin patch was amazing. It had a petting farm, which the boys loved holding the goat. I just love the big, huge smiles that these boys have in the two photos where they're holding the goat. It's a smile that's definitely pretty amazing. So of course I do add some liquid adhesive to the back of the chipboard letters because we all know that they don't tend to stick very well. And that is it for this layout. I encourage you guys to check out the scrap room. It has some amazing sketches as well as the Freaky Fast Friday. So you can check out the formula every month. They do a new Freaky Fast Friday. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layouts, make sure you hit that subscribe button because that's all you're going to get on my channel. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.